in a small village in ancient India, there lived a kind and gentle monk named Bhante. Bhante was loved by everyone for his kind heart and his willingness to help others. Whenever someone needed help, Bhante would always be there, giving his time, his energy, and even his own resources to make others happy. One day, Bhante was walking through the village when he saw an old man struggling to carry a heavy load of firewood. Without a second thought, Bhante rushed over to help. The old man thanked him and said, "You are too kind, Bhante. You help everyone so much. But have you ever thought about helping yourself?" Bhante was taken aback by the old man's words. He had never thought about it that way. He always believed that helping others was the most important thing. But that evening, as he sat in meditation, the old man's words echoed in his mind. Have you ever thought about helping yourself? The next day, Bhante went about his usual routine, helping everyone he could. But this time he started to notice something. He felt tired, drained, and sometimes even a bit resentful. He realized that by always saying yes to others, he was saying no to himself. He was giving away all his energy and leaving nothing for his own well-being. Bhante decided to visit his teacher, a wise old monk named Saman. Bhante shared his thoughts and feelings, seeking guidance. Saman listened patiently and then shared a story of his own. Saman said, "Imagine you are a lamp. Your light can help others see in the dark. But if you keep giving away your oil, your light will go out. You need to keep your lamp filled with oil to continue shining brightly. It's the same with kindness. You need to take care of yourself to truly help others." Bhante understood. He realized that being kind doesn't mean neglecting yourself. He started to set boundaries and took time for self-care. He found that he could still help others, but now he did it with a full heart and a clear mind. He was no longer too nice at his own expense. So, what can we learn from Bhante's story? Being too nice can actually harm us. We need to find a balance between helping others and taking care of ourselves. It's okay to say no sometimes. It's okay to set boundaries. In fact, it's necessary for our well-being. Remember, you are like that lamp. Keep your oil filled and your light will shine brightly. Take time for yourself, nurture your own needs, and then you can truly help others without losing yourself in the process. Once upon a time, in a peaceful village nestled in the mountains, there lived a wise monk named Tenzin. Tenzin was known throughout the village for his wisdom and his kind heart. He would always listen to people's problems and offer them advice. He never turned anyone away and always tried to help everyone as much as he could. One day, a young woman named Lamo came to Tenzin. She was distraught and confused, overwhelmed by the many demands placed upon her by her family and friends. "I don't know what to do," she cried. "Everyone expects so much from me, and I can't say no. I want to be kind, but it's exhausting." Tenzin listened quietly, and then he said, "Lamo, let me tell you a story. Many years ago, there was a wise king who had a beautiful garden. This garden was his pride and joy, filled with the most exquisite flowers, plants and trees. The king had a gardener named Dorji, who took great care of the garden. Dorji loved the garden so much that he worked tirelessly to keep it beautiful. He would water the plants, trim the bushes, and make sure every flower was blooming. One day, Dorji noticed that some of the plants were wilting, and the flowers were not as vibrant as before. He was puzzled because he had been taking care of the garden just as he always had. He decided to seek advice from the wise king. The king listened to Dorji and then said, "Dorji, sometimes you need to give the garden some time to rest. You need to let the soil breathe and the plants find their own strength. Too much care can sometimes weaken them. Just like the plants, we too need time to rest and grow in silence." Dorji followed the king's advice. He started giving the garden some time to rest, and soon enough, the garden became more beautiful than ever before. The flowers bloomed brightly, and the plants grew stronger. Tenzin looked at Lamo and said, "You see, Lamo, sometimes being too nice and giving too much can be like overwatering the plants. You need to take a step back and give yourself some time to rest. It's okay to be silent, to say no, and to take care of your own needs." Ayamo realized that she had been giving too much of herself, just like Dorji with the garden. She decided to set boundaries and take time for herself. She found that by doing this she could still help others, but now she did it with a full heart and without feeling exhausted. So, what can we learn from Tenzin and Lamo's story? The power of silence and the importance of taking care of ourselves. Sometimes we need to step back and give ourselves the space to grow. It's okay to say no and to set boundaries. By doing this, we preserve our own energy and can help others more effectively. How can we apply this lesson in our lives? Here are a few tips. Tip 1. Set boundaries. In a small town nestled by the mountains, there lived a woman named May. Maya was known for her kindness and her willingness to help others. She was always there for her family, friends, and neighbors, never turning anyone away when they needed help. One day, May's friend Lee asked her for a favor. Lee needed someone to watch her children while she went to work. May, of course, agreed. But soon, more and more people started asking Mai for help. She was constantly busy, running errands, babysitting, and helping others with their problems. May rarely had any time for herself. Mai's health began to suffer. She felt exhausted, stressed, and even a little resentful. She realized that she was giving so much to others that she had nothing left for herself. Mai decided to seek advice from her grandmother, who was known for her wisdom. Her grandmother listened patiently as Mai poured out her troubles. After a long silence, her grandmother spoke. "May, let me tell you a story about a wise gardener and his garden." The gardener loved his garden dearly and wanted it to flourish. He spent all his time tending to the plants, watering them, and making sure they got enough sunlight. He would even bring in new plants whenever someone asked. But soon the garden became overcrowded, and the plants started to wither. The gardener was so busy trying to take care of everything that he couldn't give each plant the attention it needed. One day, a wise old man visited the gardener. He saw the state of the garden and said, "You must set boundaries for your garden. Give each plant its own space to grow. Only then will they thrive." The gardener followed the old man's advice. He created a plan, giving each plant the space it needed, and setting limits on how many new plants he could take in. Soon, the garden began to flourish again. May's grandmother smiled and said, "May, you are like the gardener. You need to set boundaries for yourself. Give yourself the space to grow and thrive. It's not selfish to take care of yourself, it's necessary." May realized that her grandmother was right. She started setting boundaries, learning to say no when she needed to, and taking time for herself. She found that she could still help others, but now she did it with a full heart and without feeling exhausted. Tip 2. Take time for yourself. Once upon a time, in a bustling city, there lived a young woman named Aisha. Aisha was known for her dedication and hard work. She had a demanding job, took care of her family, and always tried to help her friends. Aisha was constantly on the go, with little time left for herself. One day, Aisha started feeling very tired and stressed. She had trouble sleeping and felt overwhelmed by the demands of her life. She realized she was always putting others first and never taking any time for herself. Aisha decided to seek advice from her wise aunt, who lived in a quiet village. Aisha's aunt welcomed her with a warm hug and listened patiently as Aisha shared her troubles. After a moment of reflection, her aunt said, "Aisha, let me tell you a story about a caring mother bird." There was a mother bird who loved her chicks dearly. She would fly far and wide every day to find food for them. She worked tirelessly, bringing back worms and insects to ensure her chicks were well fed. However, in her dedication, the mother bird forgot to eat enough herself. She became weak and found it harder to fly and gather food. One day, an old, wise owl noticed the mother bird's struggle and approached her. "Dear mother bird," the owl said, "you are doing a wonderful job taking care of your chicks. But you must also take care of yourself. If you become too weak, who will feed your chicks?" The mother bird realized the owl was right. She started taking time to eat and rest, making sure she was strong enough to care for her chicks. She found that by taking care of herself, she could better provide for her family. Aisha's aunt looked at her and said, "Aisha, you are like the mother bird. You need to take time for yourself to ensure you have the strength to take care of others. Self-care is not selfish, it's essential." Aisha took her aunt's advice to heart. She began setting aside time each day to do things she enjoyed, like reading, taking walks, and practicing yoga. She found that by taking care of herself, she felt happier, more relaxed, and better able to handle her responsibilities. Tip 3. Listen to your needs. Once upon a time, in a bustling village, there lived a young woman named Sophia. Sophia was known for her generosity and her willingness to help others. She always put the needs of her family, friends, and colleagues before her own. Sophia believed that being selfless was the best way to live. One day, Sophia started feeling very tired and unhappy. She couldn't figure out why. She was always busy helping others, but she felt empty inside. Sophia decided to visit an old wise woman named Elena, who lived at the edge of the village. Sophia shared her feelings with Elena, who listened carefully. After a moment of reflection, Elena said, "Sophia, let me tell you a story about a young tree and a wise gardener. Here was a young tree in a beautiful garden. The tree tried to grow tall and strong, but it struggled because it wasn't getting the right amount of water and sunlight. The gardener, who cared deeply for the tree, noticed its struggle and decided to listen to the tree's needs. He realized that the tree needed more sunlight and less water. The gardener moved the tree to a sunnier spot and adjusted the watering schedule. Soon the tree began to thrive. It grew tall and strong, with lush green leaves and beautiful flowers. The gardener's attention to the tree's needs made all the difference. Elena looked at Sophia and said, "Sophia, you are like the young tree. To thrive, you must listen to your own needs. It's not enough to just help others. You must take care of yourself too." Sophia realized that she had been ignoring her own needs for too long. She started taking time to listen to herself, understanding what made her happy and what she needed to feel fulfilled. She began setting aside time for activities she enjoyed, like painting and reading, and made sure to get enough rest and relaxation. Soon, Sophia felt more energized and content. By listening to her own needs, she found that she could still help others, but now she did it with a full heart and a joyful spirit. Tip 4. Be mindful. Once upon a time, in a busy village, there lived a young man named Leo. Leo was always in a hurry, constantly thinking about what he needed to do next. He was either worried about the future or dwelling on the past. As a result, he found it hard to enjoy his life and felt stressed and anxious. One day, while Leo was rushing to his next task, he bumped into an old man named Elias, who was sitting quietly under a large tree. The old man seemed so peaceful and content that Leo couldn't help but stop and ask him, "How do you stay so calm and happy?" Elias smiled and said, "Leo, let me tell you a story about a wise monk and a young student." There was a young student who sought to learn the secret to happiness. He traveled far and wide and finally reached a temple where a wise monk lived. The student asked the monk, "Master, what is the secret to happiness?" The monk replied, "Come with me." The monk handed the student a spoon filled with oil and said, Walk through the garden without spilling a drop. The student carefully walked through the garden, focused on not spilling the oil. When he returned, the monk asked, "Did you enjoy the beauty of the garden?" The student realized he hadn't seen the garden at all. The monk then said, "Now, walk through the garden again, but this time, take in all the beauty around you." The student did as the monk said, and this time, he noticed the vibrant flowers, the singing birds, and the gentle breeze. When he returned, the monk smiled and said, "The secret to happiness is to be mindful. Appreciate each moment, and you will find joy." Elias looked at Leo and said, "You see, Leo, happiness comes from being present in the moment. When you rush through life, you miss the beauty around you. Practice mindfulness, and you will find peace and joy." Leo decided to take Elias' advice to heart. He started practicing mindfulness by focusing on his breath, taking time to appreciate the small moments, and being fully present in whatever he was doing. He found that by being mindful, his stress and anxiety decreased, and he felt more connected to his life. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this story and message meaningful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear this. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, be kind to others and to yourself.